You know that dream, right? The one where you wake up one day and check your bank account, and instead of seeing your regular paycheck, you see money just sitting there that you didn't have to trade your time for. Like money that showed up while you were sleeping or working on something else or just living your life. That feeling is something most people think is reserved for lottery winners or people with trust funds or like tech millionaires who sold their company for $1 billion. But here's what's wild. That's not actually how most wealthy people think about their money anymore. Once you hit a certain level of financial understanding, passive income stops being this mystical unicorn and becomes something that's actually pretty achievable for normal people like you and me. My name is Alex, and I think about money way too much. I spend time breaking down financial concepts and trying to explain why the path that most people follow with their money leads to the same frustrated endpoint where they're working until they can barely move anymore. If you're someone who's tired of trading every hour for $1 and wants to understand what actually works when it comes to building income streams that don't require you to show up and actively work for them, make sure you hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if any of this resonates with you. Now, before we get into the actual mechanics of making $1,000 a month passively, I want to address the thing that nobody talks about when they're promoting passive income, and that's the front-loaded effort that makes it actually possible. When people see someone making $1,000 a month from passive income, what they're really seeing is the result of months or years of work that happened behind the scenes. They're not seeing the 200 hours of content creation, or the year they spent building an audience, or the failed attempts at different strategies before something finally stuck. This is important because if you come into this expecting to start making money next week just by listening to this video, you're going to be disappointed. But if you understand that you're essentially planting seeds that will take some time to grow, then what I'm about to tell you changes everything about your financial future. Look, I know that's not what you want to hear. You want the fast path. You want someone to tell you that you can make $1,000 a month in 30 days with just 5 minutes of work per day. And honestly, there are people out there making those kinds of claims. But they're either lying or they're talking about something so specific to their unique situation that it doesn't apply to you. The real truth is that passive income is built, not found. It's constructed piece by piece, month by month, year by year. The first thing you need to know is that passive income isn't actually passive in the way that sounds. It's more like deferred work. You do the work up front and then the money keeps flowing in after the initial effort phase is ended. It's like recording an album. You spend months in the studio recording and mixing and perfecting everything. Then once it's done, you can sell it forever and the musician doesn't have to re-record it every single time someone buys a copy. That's the model we're talking about here. So let me tell you about the first move that can actually get you to $1,000 a month in passive income, and this one is probably the most straightforward if you're willing to build something and then let it work for you. The first move is digital products and content monetization. Now, when I say digital products, I'm not talking about some complicated software or app that requires a team of developers. I'm talking about things like online courses, ebooks, templates, stock photography, design assets, stock video, audiobook production, music, anything that you create once and then can sell infinitely without creating it again. Here's why this works so well. The barrier to entry is incredibly low. You can start creating digital products with almost no startup capital. All you really need is a computer, an internet connection, and maybe some cheap software. But the thing that stops most people isn't the barrier to entry. It's the fact that they don't have an audience. They create something and put it out into the world and then wonder why nobody buys it. This is where understanding the actual mechanics becomes important. You can't just create a great product and hope people find it. You need to build an audience of people who are interested in what you're selling. And this is where the upfront work comes in. So let's say you want to create an online course about freelance writing because you've been doing that for 5 years and you know how to do it really well. First, you'd need to actually build the course, which might take 60 to 100 hours depending on how polished you want to make it. But before you do that, you'd probably want to build an audience. You might start a YouTube channel or a TikTok account or write a newsletter where you give away free value about freelance writing. You'd spend 3 to 6 months creating content consistently, maybe spending 10 hours a week on it. That's 120 to 240 hours just on audience building. Then you finally launch the course and maybe 500 people have seen your content by then and 50 of them buy it at $47 each. That's $2,350 in month one. Sounds great, right? But here's what most people don't see. You've actually worked 200 to 300 hours to make that money. That's like making $8 to $12 per hour. That's not passive income yet. That's just trading your time for money, which is what you're trying to escape from. But here's where it gets interesting. In month two, you don't have to do all that work again. You just maintain your audience and maybe some of those people refer their friends to your course. Maybe you make $1,500 that month. Month 3 might be $1,200. By month 6, after you've refined your marketing and people have left reviews and the course has better visibility, maybe you're consistently hitting $1,000 to $2,000 per month. Now you're actually making money without actively working every single day. The beauty of this model is that the effort is front-loaded and then you can just let it work. The course is still there selling itself while you sleep. You could go work on a second course or a different digital product, or you could just take the money and invest it in something else. And this is where it gets really powerful because now you've diversified your income streams and you're not relying on one employer or one client to pay your bills. The challenge with digital products is that you need an audience to sell to, and building an audience takes time and consistency. And honestly, a lot of people give up before they get to the point where the compounding effect kicks in. Here's what I see happen all the time. Someone starts a YouTube channel or a TikTok account, and they upload consistently for 2 months. They get 100 subscribers, maybe 1,000 views on a video, and they're disappointed. They expect it to blow up immediately because they've seen other creators who have millions of followers. What they don't realize is that those creators have also been doing this for 5 years or more. They're comparing their month 2 to someone else's year 5, so they quit. And then next month, when they would have gotten their first 500 views per video or their first real engagement, they're not there anymore. They missed the inflection point by just a few weeks. But if you can push through that phase, if you can stay consistent with creating content for 6 to 12 months, even when the money isn't flowing yet, you'll eventually reach a point where the passive income becomes real. And the beautiful thing is that this scales. Once you've built one digital product that's making $1,000 a month, you can build a second one that makes another $1,000. You've already done the hard part of building the audience and understanding the platform and figuring out what people actually want. The second time is always easier than the first time. The knowledge compounds, your efficiency compounds, everything gets faster. The second move that gets people to $1,000 a month in passive income is rental income from physical or virtual assets. And this one requires a bit more capital up front, but it also tends to be more stable because you're providing something that people actually need on an ongoing basis. So the most obvious version of this is real estate. You buy a property, rent it out, and the tenant's rent payment becomes your passive income. But here's the reality about real estate that a lot of people don't want to hear. It's not actually that passive. You have to deal with tenant issues, maintenance problems, property taxes, insurance, vacancy periods. I know people who own rental properties and they spend hours every month managing their properties or paying someone else to manage them. That's not really passive. That's just owning a job that requires less daily attention than a regular job. But here's the thing. Even with all that hassle, if you can buy a property for $300,000, put down $60,000, finance the rest and rent it for $2,000 a month, after you pay the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and maybe a property manager, you might be looking at $400 to $600 a month in actual profit. That's not $1,000 yet. You'd need multiple properties to hit that number, or you'd need to be in a really hot market where rents are much higher than mortgage payments. But the leverage is what makes this work. You're using the bank's money to buy an asset that's producing income. And over time, as you pay down the mortgage and rents go up, your passive income from that property increases. If you hold it for 30 years, eventually the mortgage is paid off, and then that $2,000 rent is almost entirely profit. The problem is that 30 years is a long time, and most people don't have $60,000 sitting around to buy a rental property. And honestly, real estate has its own challenges. You're dealing with property management, which can be nightmarish if you get bad tenants. You're exposed to natural disasters and market downturns. You're paying capital gains taxes when you eventually sell. The barrier to entry is huge. This is where the other version of this strategy becomes interesting. Instead of physical property, you can rent virtual assets. This could be storage space online that people pay to use, like cloud backup services. It could be websites that you've built and ranked well in Google that you rent to businesses. It could be a podcast that has enough listeners that you sell sponsorships. It could be intellectual property like music or film that you license out to streaming platforms. And one interesting version that's becoming more popular is buying existing websites and affiliate properties that are already making money. So someone builds a website over 3 years. It's making $500 a month. They get tired of managing it, and they sell it for $20,000. You buy it for $20,000, and suddenly you have a $500 a month income stream that requires maybe an hour a month of maintenance. That's a very different story from building it from scratch. You're essentially buying a job that someone else did the hard work for. The barrier to entry is lower than real estate, but you still need capital to make acquisitions. The advantage is that you don't need years to recover your investment. If you buy a website for $20,000 that makes $500 per month, you've paid off the acquisition cost in 40 months. After that, it's almost pure passive income. The real key with this model is understanding what assets have staying power and which ones are just trends that will die out. Real estate works because people always need shelter. They'll always pay rent. But a rental car service only works if you can keep your cars maintained and people keep renting them. A storage unit business works because people always need somewhere to put their stuff. The key is finding markets where demand is stable and recurring. The third move that can get you to $1,000 a month in passive income is what I call the compounding affiliate and recurring commission model. And this one is probably the most scalable because it requires less capital than real estate. And it's easier to get started than building a big enough audience to sell digital products. Here's how it works. You find products or services that pay you a recurring commission every month for bringing them customers. Ideally, you want products where the customer stays a customer for a long time. So instead of selling someone a one-time product where you make $30 commission, you find a service where the customer pays $30 a month and you get a 10% commission, which is $3 per month forever as long as they stay a customer. Now multiply that across enough customers and the math becomes interesting. If you bring in 400 customers and only 80% of them stick around each month, you've got 320 customers paying $30 a month and you're making $3 per customer per month. That's $960 a month in passive income. And here's the thing, you don't have to work to convert those people every month. They stay unless they actively cancel. There are a bunch of different models here. There's affiliate marketing for SaaS companies like email platforms or project management tools where you get a recurring commission. There's insurance sales where you get an annual commission that renews every year. There's network marketing or MLM, which is more controversial, but the math is the same if you find ethical products. There's financial services where you refer people to investment accounts or credit cards and you get a commission. The challenge with this model is finding the right products to promote that people actually want or need. If you're promoting some garbage product that doesn't actually help people, you'll burn through your audience and they'll stop trusting you. So the first step is finding products or services that you actually believe in and that your audience actually needs. This might take some research. You might test 5 different products before you find one that converts well. Once you find something that works, though, the scalability becomes incredible. You can keep promoting the same product over and over. You can create content about it, write emails about it, make videos about it, and each piece of content can bring in new customers that keep paying you commissions indefinitely. The beautiful part is that this scales across different platforms. You could promote an affiliate program on YouTube and have people click your link from videos you uploaded 3 years ago. That video is still making you money from day one forever. You could have an email list where you send out recommendations and make money every time someone clicks and signs up. That one email sent 5 years ago could still be bringing in conversions because it's still in your email archive. You could have a blog post ranking in Google that sends people to affiliate links and makes you money while you sleep. Unlike ads that stop working the moment you stop paying for them, this content is working for you indefinitely. The compounding effect here is massive. After a year or two of consistent promotion, you can have hundreds or thousands of people subscribe to your email list or following your YouTube channel or visiting your blog. And if even a small percentage of them buy through your affiliate links each month, the money adds up fast. Here's a real example. Let's say you write a blog post about the best project management tools. You do the research, you test 5 different tools, you write 3,000 words comparing them, and you optimize it for SEO. That takes you maybe 20 hours. Then you put affiliate links in the article. That blog post starts ranking for keywords like best project management tools and project management software comparison. Within 6 months, it's getting 500 visits per month. Maybe 5% of those people click your affiliate link, that's 25 clicks. Maybe 10% of those become customers, that's 2.5 new customers per month. If you're making $50 per customer referred, that's $125 per month from one blog post. After the first 6 months, you spend maybe 5 hours per month updating the post and monitoring the links. So you're making $1,500 per year with 5 hours per month of maintenance. That's $300 per hour, and that's just one blog post. Here's what most people miss about all 3 of these models. The first year is brutal. You're working without seeing proportional returns. You're doing the work, but the money isn't flowing the way it should be. This is why so many people quit. They see other people making $1,000 a month and they think it's effortless, so when they're not making money after a month or 2, they assume it's not going to work. But the people actually succeeding understand that they're planting seeds. They're investing their time up front, knowing that in year 2, year 3, year 4, the compound effect kicks in and the passive income becomes real. That's the thing nobody wants to hear when they ask how to make passive income. They want the shortcut. They want the hack. They want to make $1,000 a month without putting in work. And yes, there are some people who get lucky or who inherit money or who somehow stumble into a winning situation. But most of the people who actually build significant passive income streams did it through some combination of these 3 approaches, and they did it by pushing through the frustrating early phase when the return on their effort seemed terrible. But once you understand this pattern, once you know that the first 100 hours of work might only make you $100, but the next 100 hours might make you $5,000 because you've already built the foundation, everything changes about how you approach money. So, you stop thinking about hourly wages. You start thinking about leverage. You start thinking about systems that work for you instead of systems that you have to work for. And that's the real shift that creates wealth. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about understanding that your time can be invested in ways that create infinite returns. Not tomorrow, not next week, but over months and years of consistent effort. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about which of these 3 models you want to pursue, my advice is to start now. Start small. Start with the one that feels most natural to you based on your skills and your audience and your capital, and then stay consistent. Because here's the thing about passive income. The person who starts today and stays consistent is going to be making $1,000 a month a year from now. The person who waits for the perfect time or keeps researching or tries to find the absolute best strategy is going to be in the exact same position they're in now, wondering if passive income is actually possible for people like them. It is, but not from reading about it or watching videos about it, only from actually doing it. From creating that first digital product even if it's imperfect, from analyzing that first rental property even if you don't buy it, from promoting that first affiliate offer even if only 10 people click your link. The action is what separates the people making passive income from the people still talking about it. And the beautiful part is that starting is simpler than you think. You don't need permission. You don't need a formal education. You don't need some special certification or qualification. You just need to start. You need to pick one of these three approaches, commit to it for 12 months, and actually do the work. After a year of consistent effort on any of these models, you'll either be making passive income or you'll know exactly why this particular approach doesn't work for you. And honestly, that's valuable information too, because then you'll pivot to one of the other models and try again. The compounding benefits don't just apply to money. They apply to knowledge. They apply to skill. They apply to your ability to recognize opportunities. The more you practice building passive income streams, the better you get at it. The first one is hard. The second one is easier. The third one is easier still. And by the time you've built your first legitimate passive income stream making real money, you'll know the playbook so well that building a second and third one becomes almost routine. That's the real secret that people don't talk about. It's not a secret at all. It's just work. It's patience. It's consistency. It's looking at what you want a year from now and being willing to do what it takes today to make that future version of you grateful you made this choice. So make the decision now. Pick your path, take the first step, and let the work compound.